The stars were quiet. For over 50 years, Earth had been listening to space. Thousands of satellites, telescopes, and machines looked toward the night sky every second, but nothing ever came. People stopped believing, until one night. It was 2:37 a.m. at the Deep Sky Observatory, a small space station floating above the dark side of the moon. Inside, a young technician named Ryan checked his system logs. Everything was normal until a red alert flashed on the screen. Unknown signal detected, source, deep space. Ryan sat up straight. The signal was not like any he had seen before. It came in pulses, sharp, clean, too perfect to be natural. He recorded it and ran a fast decryption. After 10 seconds, the signal translated into text. "We are coming. Do not resist." Ryan's hands shook. He tried to send the message to Earth Command, but all communication channels were suddenly jammed. He looked out of the window. Something blinked in the distance, far beyond the stars. Location: Earth, United Nations Space Command HQ. Geneva. Captain Alara Quinn sat in a silent briefing room. She was a former fighter pilot, known for surviving a suicide mission on Mars. Now she worked with intelligence. The room lights dimmed as the message was shown on a large screen. "We are coming. Do not resist." She frowned. "Is this a prank?" A scientist replied, "We don't think so." The signal came from a location 900 light-years away. And then it repeated from 50 light-years. Then from just 2 light-years. All in 30 minutes. "That's impossible," said Alara. "Nothing moves that fast." The lead scientist nodded slowly. "Unless it's already here." Location: Moonbase Gamma. 3 days after the signal, communication with Moonbase Gamma was lost. The last message was a garbled video, showing terrified astronauts running through corridors. Their last words: "Something is in the shadows." Earth Command sent a drone team to investigate. When the drone arrived, the base was empty. No bodies. No blood, just one word scratched into the wall: "Listen." The base's internal power system was drained completely, as if something had eaten the energy. Location: Jupiter orbit, Deep Space Probe 91 far beyond Earth. A secret space probe named DS-91 floated near Jupiter's moons. It was designed to look like space junk, but it had advanced scanning tools. On day 5 after the signal, DS-91 picked up a massive object, moving silently toward Earth. It wasn't on any known trajectory. It didn't reflect sunlight. It gave off no heat. The object suddenly stopped near Europa. Then it vanished. 10 minutes later, all satellites near Jupiter went offline. Location: Project Skywall Command Room. Classified. Ella Quinn entered. A secret facility under the Atlantic Ocean. This was the home of Project Skywall, Earth's last line of defense. She stood in front of a large glass screen showing space around Earth. Red dots began to appear one by one. Unidentified objects, moving fast, changing direction unnaturally. "These are not asteroids," said Alara. The Skywall AI spoke. "Unknown vessels detected. Estimated contact, 72 hours. Can we talk to them?" She asked. "We don't know if they understand communication. Can we stop them?" The eye went silent. Location: Deep Sky Observatory. Final broadcast. Rayan, the technician who first received the signal, stayed behind at the observatory. He kept listening. Then he saw it. A strange shape, like a black diamond, moving silently past the moon. He sent a final message. "This is Rayan. They're here. They are not ships. They are alive." His screen went black. Location: Earth. Public news broadcast. Censored. The people of Earth were told it was a meteor shower. "No need to panic," the news said. But panic had already started. Birds were flying in circles. Ocean currents changed direction. GPS systems failed. People reported seeing lights in the sky, blinking in strange patterns. In Brazil, A farmer disappeared after touching the strange metal object. In Japan, a baby spoke in a deep adult voice for 2 minutes, then fell silent. In London, all the clocks stopped at exactly 3:33 a.m. Something was changing. Location: Project Skywall. Emergency meeting. Jara Quinn stood at the head of a round table with military and science leaders. "We need to respond," one general shouted. "With what?" a scientist asked. "We don't even know what they want." Alara raised her hand. "We can't wait. If they are a threat, we must act now." Someone from the shadows spoke. "No, they are not the threat. You are." Everyone turned. It was Dr. Kale, an old scientist thought to be dead. He had disappeared 10 years ago during a Mars mission. Now he stood with glowing blue eyes. "They are coming because we broke the rule," he said. "We sent light into darkness. And the darkness has answered." Flashback: Mars minus 10 years ago. Dr. Kale had been part of a team exploring caves under Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain on Mars. They found an alien machine, asleep for millions of years. When they touched it, it pulsed with light. They called it the Stargate. It sent a signal into space. That signal may have started all of this. Dr. Kale survived. But he had changed. His mind had touched something huge, cold, and watching. Location: Earth orbit, enemy contact. The Skywall defense grid lit up. Unknown objects were now 500,000 kilometers away. Still invisible to the eye, but the sensors screamed warnings. Ilara suited up. She would lead the defense team. "Get me visuals," she said. Suddenly, the screen showed a shape. Black, tall, not solid. It looked like a shadow moving in space, with no light, no mass. But then, it blinked. The entire space station shook. Lights flickered. Time seemed to slow for 2 seconds. One soldier began to scream. Another pulled out a gun and shot himself. "They're inside," someone whispered. Back on Earth, I shut down Skyle. AI suddenly began repeating one sentence. "Error, time conflict. Error, time conflict. Error," then silence. Ilara ordered manual override. She opened the emergency data drive. Inside, it was a secret file from Dr. Kale. It read, "We were never supposed to find them. We are ants in a god's eye. If you're reading this, they have already seen you. Tell no one. Run." Final scene: Jupiter shadow event. A camera on a forgotten probe sends its last image to Earth before shutting down. The image shows the sun. Blinking. Not blocked. Not hidden, but covered by something transparent, like a sheet of living glass, stretching across space. And then, in the center of the image, a massive eye opens, looking straight at Earth. The war room was silent. Everyone had seen it. The image from Jupiter, the blinking eye watching Earth, from behind the stars. Some thought it was a trick. Others thought it was God. Captain Ilara Quinn didn't believe in myths. She believed in actions. "Prepare the mission," she said. "We're making contact." Mission name: First Light Objective. Attempt peaceful communication with unknown alien presence. Location: Space, near Jupiter orbit. The USS Resolute, a diplomatic vessel, slowly approached the location where the eye had been seen. The ship was unarmed, by order of the United Nations. On board were scientists, linguists, and diplomats. Their goal: talk before we fight. Inside the ship, tension grew. Dr. Kwan, the lead linguist, had studied over 700 known human languages. But nothing in the alien signal matched any pattern. "They're not talking," she said. "They're broadcasting presence. They want to be seen." Contact made at 0300 hours. The ship picked up a weak energy wave. A black shape appeared on radar, not visible to the eyes or cameras, but every sensor screamed with overload. Lights flickered. Crew members felt cold. The object floated in front of the ship, Motionless. Dr. Kwan sent a basic greeting pulse. Then a second. Then a third. No response. Then suddenly, the ship's walls vibrated, not from outside, but from inside. A low hum filled the ears of every crew member. Their eyes turned red. Their noses bled. The captain tried to send a message back to Earth, but before he could press the button, the ship vanished. Location: Earth, Project Skywall. 2 minutes later, we lost the Resolute, a technician said. Lost how? Ilara asked. No explosion. No wreckage. It just stopped existing. 2 hours later, signal reappears. Earth's satellites picked up a strange signal again. Not words this time, but a video feed. It showed the USS Resolute, floating dead in space. All the windows were red. Then the camera moved closer. Inside, all the crew were standing, perfectly still, their mouths open, their eyes wide, not blinking, not moving. Dead. But not collapsed, as if frozen mid-sentence. One frame of the video showed a crew member holding a sign. Do not look at them. Then, the feed cut out. Earth reacts. Governments around the world panicked. Protesters filled the streets, demanding answers. People online called the video fake. Others said it was the end of the world. But at Project Skywall, things got worse. The AI that had been offline returned suddenly, whispering one phrase. It has begun. Location: Ilara's quarters. Late night. Ilara couldn't sleep. She watched the video from the Resolute over and over again. Something bothered her. Every crew member was staring at the same spot, not out the window, not at each other, but at a single wall inside the ship. She zoomed in on that wall. There was a reflection. Something tall, shaped like a human, but wrong, too thin, no face, no hands, just standing, watching. Ilara turned off the screen and whispered. They were inside the ship. Location: Mars, Vault 7. An emergency signal came from Mars Base Vault 7. The AI there had reactivated an ancient Voron device, alien tech found under the Martian surface 12 years ago and kept secret. The Vorons were a race long extinct, known only through ruins and machines found deep in the Mars crust. Their ancient AI spoke for the first time. You contacted them. You gave them coordinates. You are not being invaded. You are being collected. Internal panic. Skywall power failure suddenly. Across Earth, power grids began to crash. Not everywhere, but in specific locations. Observatories, data centers, telescope networks. It was as if someone or something was blinding. Earth. Skywall's main satellite reversed its position on its own, now facing Earth instead of space. This is sabotage, said one engineer. No, Ilara said. This is programming, and we didn't program it. Personal breakdown. Commander Ilya turns to Ilara's second-in-command. Commander Ilya began acting strangely. He refused food. He stared at walls for hours. One night he entered the control room with a plasma cutter. You don't understand, he whispered. They are not enemies. They are returning. He tried to overload the reactor. Ilara shot him in the leg and locked him in the medbay. Before passing out, he smiled. They're already here. Unknown transmission. Voice not human. Later that night, Earth received another signal. This time, not text, not images, but a voice. It spoke in broken English, as if learning from Earth's media. You are noise. You burned sky. We slept. You woke. We remember pain. Now you remember silence. And then, coordinates. A single point in space was transmitted, deep beyond Neptune, in the Kuiper Belt. Final scene. Project Skywall decision. Ilara stood with global leaders on screen. One said, we should surrender. Try to show peace, another said. Arm everything. Prepare for war. Ilara looked at the screen showing the frozen bodies of the Resolute crew. She whispered, they didn't kill them with weapons. They killed them with presence. She turned to the camera. Ready the fleet. Cliffhanger, secret AI message on Mars. Back on Mars. The ancient Voron AI lit up again. A message blinked on its cracked screen. They are not the first. You are not the last. The galaxy has rules. You broke one. And then one final sentence. Now you must pay for what your ancestors did. Location: deep space. Task Force Echo. Near the Kuiper Belt. Earth's last hope was sent into the dark. 5 warships moved toward the coordinates given by the alien signal. They were part of Task Force Echo, the best space fleet humanity had. Each ship was armed with plasma weapons, EMP charges, and gravitational shields. Their mission: find the source, study, defend. Captain Alara Quinn stayed on Earth, watching every second through the command center. On board the lead ship, USS Valiant, Commander Reyes led the operation. This time, he said to his crew, we fire first. They entered the dark belt of space. Nothing was there. Then, the stars started disappearing. One by one. Something is blocking the sky. Sensors showed nothing, but to the eyes, the stars were vanishing, like someone was erasing them with black ink. Ship cameras caught it first. A shadow moving in space. No heat, no light, no shape. But it bent the stars behind it, as if the stars were afraid to shine near it. Then, one crew member whispered, it's not moving, it's watching. Back on Earth, Skywall records. Hidden file. Lara unlocked a forbidden archive called Project Mirror. Inside was footage from 2049, decades ago, when a private space company had sent an AI drone beyond Pluto. That drone found a mirror floating in space, a surface so black it reflected nothing except the face of the observer. The report sighed. Every test subject saw something different. Their own face, but wrong. Eyes on the wrong side. Mouth stitched. A smile that never ended. All test subjects went insane. The project was shut down. The last note read, the mirror is not a reflection. It is a door. Task Force Echo, first casualty on board USS Valiant. The lights flickered. A crewman screamed and opened an airlock without a suit. No warning. No reason. Others began hearing whispers. The ship's SI reported no intruders. But 11 minutes later, all cameras showed a tall figure walking inside the hallway. Black skin. No face. Long arms. It didn't walk. It floated. Rias fired the emergency EMP pulse. The figure disappeared. Location: Earth. Civilian crisis spreads on Earth. Thousands of people began reporting the same dream. A dark hallway. A mirror at the end. And a voice saying, do you want to see your true face? Some people refused to sleep. Some clawed their eyes out. Some whispered strange languages they'd never learned. In one hospital, 5 children woke up at the same time, all screaming the same word. It's not one, it's many. Project Skywall. AI update. Skywalls rebuilt. AI now spoke in a monotone voice. Unlike before, its new name, Mirror-9. It showed Ilara a symbol, a circle with 5 black dots. Is not an invasion, it said. This is a harvest. Ilara asked, why now? The AI responded, you called them. You opened the mirror. Now they come through all that reflects. Every shadow, every eye, every memory. Flashback. The Voron's warning. Mars archives. Old alien records were translated from the Voron machine on Mars. They warned of a species with no name. The Vorons called them the Faceless Silence. Their description: they are not from a planet. They are from between thoughts, between time, between light. The Vorons had fought them once and lost. Their final message: do not speak to the mirror. Do not answer its questions. Do not let it learn your face. Task Force Echo. Final transmission. One ship, USS Nightfall, tried to leave the Kuiper Belt early. It sent one last message. The stars are inside now. They're not outside. They see through us. Then silence. The ship exploded without cause. No enemy weapons. No damage before detonation. It was as if the ship chose to die. Back on Earth. Personal attack at night. Elara looked into her mirror. She froze. Her reflection was smiling, but she was not. The reflection raised a hand. Elara did not. It whispered, "You're already one of us." She smashed the mirror, but the whisper didn't stop. Decision. Burn the sky. Elara met with Earth's defense leaders. Only 3 of the 5 Task Force Echo ships remained. "We're not facing a race," she said. "We're facing a force, a thought, a memory." General Hart slammed his fist. "Then we treat it like a virus. We burn it." The plan. Operation Black Sun. Goal. Fire the Earth's orbital sun cannon into the Kuiper Belt. Try to erase the source, even if it meant burning half the outer system. Elara hesitated. "What if we make it worse?" she asked. Hart replied, "If we wait, we die seeing ourselves." Final scene. A message from the mirror before Operation Black Sun could begin. Every screen on Earth turned black. A single symbol appeared, 5 black dots in a circle. Then a message. You had a face. You wore it with pride. But pride made you look into darkness. Now you will wear ours. Location. Earth, Project Skywall Command Center. The room was tense. Elara Quinn stood before a giant holographic map of the Kuiper Belt. The 5 black dots, the enemy symbol, hovered over the outer solar system like dark eyes. Around her, generals and scientists argued. General Hart slammed his fist. "We have one chance. Operation Black Sun starts in 1 hour. We fire the orbital sun cannon at the Kuiper Belt. We burn the source. We end this." Elara's voice was calm but firm. "If we miss, we might destroy everything beyond Neptune. The outer planets, moons, and maybe the whole Kuiper Belt civilization. If it exists, we have no choice," Hart said. "They're already inside us." Location. Space. Task Force Echo in orbit. The remaining 3 ships of Task Force Echo gathered near. Earth's giant orbital cannon, a massive weapon. Built decades ago to defend Earth from asteroids. Now it was humanity's last weapon against an invisible enemy. Captain Reyes on the U.S.S. Valiant spoke into the comms. "All systems ready, awaiting fire order." On Earth, Elara sat beside the console, her hand trembling. She pressed a button. The fire. A low hum filled space. The orbital sun cannon charged. Bright light gathered in the cannons. Barrel like a small sun ready to burn a hole in the darkness. Then fire. The beam shot toward the Kuiper Belt, cutting through the blackness like a knife of pure light. Location. Kuiper Belt. Unknown. The beam hit the dark space where the enemy was seen last. Suddenly, stars blinked back on. But the enemy? It did not burn. Instead, from the blackness, thousands of tiny black shards exploded out like broken glass. Each shard raced toward the sun cannon, and Task Force Echo ships. Space battle begins. The shards moved fast. Smart. They passed through shields, twisted space around the ships, and caused systems to glitch. One shard hit the USS Valiant's hull. A strange black mist seeped through the metal cracks. Crew members screamed as shadows began to spread inside. The ship. Location. Earth, Skywall AI Mirror 9. The AI was silent for minutes, then spoke in a new voice, calm, patient, and cold. "They burned the surface," it said, "but the core remains." Elara asked, "What is the core?" The AI replied, "The core is memory. The core is fear. The core is you." Location. USS Valiant. Desperate fight. Commander Reyes ordered all weapons to fire, but the shards weren't destroyed. They seemed to absorb the attacks. One crew member lost control. He grabbed the plasma rifle and ran into the black mist. His last words, heard on the comm, were, "They're inside my head. They're me now." Location. Earth. People in chaos. As the battle raged in space, Earth faced growing chaos. Power blackouts, strange behavior, and mysterious disappearances spread worldwide. Ilara received a message from her sister in Paris. "They are in the mirrors. Don't trust your reflection." Operation Black Sun, the decision Ilara knew. They needed a new plan. She ordered the firing of a secondary weapon, a massive EMP pulse designed to wipe out all electronic signals. Within the Kuiper Belt, the Hope cut off the enemy's connection to Earth and themselves. "Ready the pulse," she said. Final scene. The EMP pulse fired after countdown. The Kuiper Belt lit up with silent flashes. Then everything went dark. Task Force Echo lost contact. The orbital sun cannon went offline. Last transmission. Captain Reyes. Broken message came through just before silence. "The darkness is not outside. It is inside us all. We are the spark and the fire." Location: Earth, Project Skywall. 12 hours after Operation Black Sun, the room was cold. Silent. No one cheered after the M-pulse. Because nothing happened. Task Force Echo was lost. The orbital cannon was offline. Satellites were dead. The sky looked normal. But everyone felt something wrong. Ilara sat alone in the control room, watching a blank screen. Then, the Mirror 9 spoke again. "You silenced the stars, but you forgot your own minds. Global phenomenon. The sleep plague all across Earth. People began falling asleep, not because they were tired, because something called them. Doctors couldn't explain it. Scientists were helpless. People slept and didn't wake up. Some opened their eyes again, but they weren't the same. Their voices were wrong. Their faces didn't match their ID. Their family said, 'That's not my husband. That's not my child. That's not them.'" Location: Mars. Voron machine speaks again. The ancient Voron AI activated on its own. It showed an image. A human brain, wrapped in shadows. It spoke. "They do not conquer your cities. They conquer your thoughts. Their ships are not metal. Their ships are your dreams." The Mind Virus Kewal's top neurologist, Dr. Layla Singh, shared her discovery. "The enemy is not entering through weapons," she said. "They're entering through thoughts, images, ideas." She showed brain scans of affected people. Inside their minds was a shape, a spiral made of mirrors. "Once someone dreams of them," she said, "they're never alone again." Earth shuts down reflections. Emergency orders were issued. Destroy all mirrors. Turn off camera feeds. No screens, no reflections. But it was already too late. People began reporting strange things, seeing themselves blinking when they didn't, talking in their sleep in unknown voices, shadows following them in well-lit rooms. One boy in Brazil painted this on his wall before vanishing. A circle with 5 dots. Below it, "I saw myself smile before I smiled." Ilara's team begins to fracture inside Project Skywall. Tensions grew. Some scientists began speaking in riddles. One man said, "We must surrender our minds to survive. Resistance is pain." Another cut out his own tongue and smiled. "Now they can't hear me," he whispered. Bleeding. Elara ordered full lockdown. Message from Captain Reyes, from the dead out of nowhere. A short video feed appeared on Skywalls monitor. It showed Captain Reyes, last seen on the USS Valiant, speaking calmly. "I saw the truth," he said. "We are not being invaded. We are being replaced." Behind him stood copies of his crew. Their faces were blurred, wrong, eyes too wide, necks too long, smiling. "Let us in," he said. "Let us remember you, so you can forget yourselves." Then the screen went black. Skywall AI warning. Mirror 9 gave a final warning. Memory is their weapon. Thought is their battlefield. Kill the thought or lose the war. New plan. The Mind Net. Ilara gathered the last clean scientists and engineers. "We can't win outside," she said. "But maybe we can trap them inside." She proposed building a neural firewall, called the Mind Net, to block the enemy's influence inside the human brain. They would connect volunteers to the system, but it came with a risk. The net would erase personal memories, love, pain, family, identity. To save Earth, humans might have to forget who they are. The volunteers only. 7 people stepped forward. They wore suits lined with thought-blocking metal and walked into the mind net chambers. Before entering, one of them said, "If I come back and I don't remember my name, please don't remind me." That might let them in. Final scene. Alara's mirror Lara stood in her room, holding a broken mirror piece. She looked down at her reflection. For a second, her face blinked twice, and then it whispered, "You forgot, but I remember." Her hand shook. Then she whispered back, "Not for long." Location: Earth. 1 week later, the world had changed. No music, no talking in public, no mirrors, no phones, no cameras. The mind net was now online, a global firewall that blocked signals, images, and even certain thoughts. People wore brain caps to protect their minds. Silence was the new law. It wasn't fear anymore. It was survival. The volunteers, now called the Hollow, the 7 volunteers inside the mind net chambers, were changed. They had no names, no memories, no feelings. They spoke only when needed. And in short codes: visual breach, West Node. Dark echo at 0349 seconds. Mind pressure rising. Alara watched them from behind a shielded glass wall. They looked human, but something in their eyes was gone. Location: Mars. Voron AI's final message. The ancient Voron AI lit up one last time. It showed a star map, and then the silence. Is not a defense, it is a message. The same one we sent too late. And then it shut down. Forever. The first success. A captured entity inside Skywall. The team managed to trap a fragment of the enemy, using a deep mind loop inside the mind net. The entity had no shape. It was a voice. A whisper. A thought that didn't belong. It repeated, "We do not kill, we replace, we improve." Dr. Layla Singh studied it for hours. She said, "It doesn't understand pain, or love, or fear. It only understands copy and overwrite, like corrupted code." Worldwide replacements continued, despite the mind net. More people were acting strange. Some stood still for hours, staring at walls. Some began writing strange symbols. 5 dots, the spiral, the black eye. A schoolteacher in Norway stopped mid-lesson and smiled, then said, "You can't stop forgetting. We are already inside the silence." She walked into the ocean and vanished. The mind net weakens every day. The mind net required more energy to block the thoughts. People who wore the brain caps too long started losing their real memories. Birthdays, names, families. Some begged to be unplugged. Some removed the caps and smiled like the others. "It feels better when you let go," they whispered. Elara faced a choice: keep the net running and erase the planet's mind, or shut it down and face full invasion. Unexpected signal from beyond Saturn. A beacon activated. It was not from Earth. It came from one of the missing ships, USS Eclipse, lost during Operation Black Sun. The message was simple: there is still a way, in the silence. We found something older than them, something that fights them. Coordinates followed. The message was signed, Captain Reyes, but Reyes is dead. Isn't he? Alara stared at the message. Her mind raced. Could Reyes be alive? Was it really him? Or was this a trap? Dr. Singh warned, this could be a mental lure. The enemy uses familiar faces to draw us in. Alara answered coldly, or it could be our only hope. The new mission. Beyond Saturn, a new team was formed. 5 ships, no mirrors, no cameras, no AI. Only humans, trained in thought discipline, silence codes, and memory protection. They called the mission Operation Dawn. Signal goal: reach the coordinates. Find Reyes. Find the thing that can fight the enemy. Final scene: one of the Hollow speaks alone in a dark room. One of the MineNet volunteers stood in silence. Then he whispered, not to anyone, "The silence is not empty. It listens, and now it speaks." He looked in a mirror that wasn't there and smiled. Location: deep space. Mission start: the 5 ships of operation. Dawn signal flew silently beyond Saturn. No music, no voices, no AI. Only humans sat inside, protected by memory block helmets and thought control implants. Each crew member had been trained to erase emotion, silence their inner voices, and reject dreams. They were the last line, the final hope. The lead ship, USS Tempest, carried Commander Rain Novak, chosen by Alara herself. His mission was clear: reach the signal, find Reyes, discover what lies beyond. The journey begins. Days passed in silence. The crew used hand signals and typed messages to communicate. No one spoke, no one laughed, no one dreamed. Even their thoughts were monitored. Every hour, the ship scanned for memory corruption or thought infection. If found, the infected would be removed immediately. No questions, no delays. Flashback: Rain's training before launch. Rain had spent 2 months inside a sealed memory chamber. Each day, he forgot more of himself: his mother's face, his sister's voice, his childhood dog. To fight the enemy, he had to become a blank page. But even now, flying toward the unknown, a single memory kept returning: a lighthouse on a cliff, a soft voice saying, "Remember who you are." He did not know why this memory stayed, or who the voice belonged to. First contact. The signal shifts near the edge of Saturn's orbit. The signal changed. It no longer repeated. It began responding. A new message appeared on the USS Tempest's display screen. "Welcome, Rain. I remember you." Everyone on board froze. How did the signal know Rain's name? He had never spoken it. It wasn't in the mission files. The crew looked to him. He typed only one word on the central screen: continue. Arrival: the shadow field at the edge of the solar system. The fleet reached a strange region of space. There were no stars here. No light. It was like flying into a blindfold. Ship sensors showed nothing. No matter. No radiation. No time. It was a hole in space. The place where the signal came from. Commander Rain gave the order: enter. Inside the darkness, as the ships crossed the invisible boundary, everything changed. They didn't see stars. They saw reflections. But not normal ones. These reflections showed things that weren't there. A crew member looked out the window and saw her dead brother waving at her from space. Another saw Earth, but it was burning. Another saw himself, older, smiling, wearing enemy armor. Panic began to rise. One crewman removed his helmet. He whispered, "This isn't space. This is memory." Then he collapsed. His eyes turned black. Rain ordered, "Seal his room. No recovery." The message continues. As they moved deeper, more messages appeared. Now they were personal. Each crew member received a line: "You never forgave her. They lied to you about the war. Your name is not your own. You remember the wrong side." And one message only Rain saw: "You killed me, brother. Now remember why." USS Tempest, systems failing lights dimmed. Heat dropped. Oxygen levels flickered. The ship's eye refused to speak. It had been silenced before the mission, for safety. But now another voice came through the speakers. A soft human voice. "Rain, this is Reyes." The crew gathered around the com screen. Reyes appeared. Older, calm, human. No black eyes, no strange smile. He said, "I'm alive. I found something. It's not a weapon. It's not a ship. It's a thought they cannot copy." "Rain demands answers." Rain typed, "Are you real? Are you infected?" Reyes smiled softly. "I was infected, but I remembered something they couldn't erase. One word, one truth. That's how I escaped them." The screen flickered. "Come to the beacon. Bring no fear." Location: the beacon. The fleet moved toward a strange object floating in the dark. It was not made of metal or stone. It was light. Shifting. Alive. A pulsating structure that changed shape with each second. As the ships approached, they felt something strange. Not fear, not confusion, but peace. The first emotion in months. The truth about the enemy. Rhea's voice returned. He said, "The enemy doesn't destroy you. It makes you forget what you are. It replaces truth with silence, joy with logic, love with fear. But this beacon is different. It carries a memory they cannot copy, a feeling beyond thought, one idea that saves us." Rain asked, "What idea?" The answer, sacrifice. The beacon's power. Each ship received a final message. One person must enter the beacon, offer all memories, burn them in light. If pure, the signal will reset, and Earth will remember again. The crew stared at the message. Only one could go, and that person would not return. The decision. Rain stood in silence. He looked at his team. None volunteered, not because they were afraid, because none of them remembered who they were. They had trained to be blank. And now, none had anything to offer except Rain, that lighthouse, that voice, that last memory. Rain's final walk. He wrote a note and handed it to the pilot. It read, "If I don't come back, light the path behind me." He removed his helmet. He walked into the docking tube. He stepped into the beacon. Inside the beacon, Rain stood in white light. He saw everything, his childhood, his failures, his guilt. He remembered his brother. It was Rhea's. They had fought during the early war. Rain had given the order to fire on his ship, believing he was lost. But Rhea's had survived, changed. And found the beacon, the core message inside the light. Rain whispered, "I remember, I forgive, I give it all." The beacon accepted him. It pulsed once, then again. A wave of light shot through the dark space. The hole in space closed, and the stars. RETURNEDUS, Tempest. Aftermath. The crew watched the light spread. Their memories returned, slowly, carefully. One cried. One sang a quiet song. One whispered their mother's name. The infection was gone. The enemy fading. Final message from Rhea's. Only one message appeared on the screen. Rhea spoke again. He remembered. He gave everything. That's what they can never take. Location, Earth. 1 week later. Mirrors no longer showed strange reflections. The sleep plague ended. The mind net was shut down. People slowly began speaking again. The first word spoken worldwide? Remember. Final scene. The lighthouse. A boy on Earth stood on a cliff. He looked at the sea. Behind him, an old lighthouse shined once more. Inside, a figure stood, watching the horizon. He looked like Rain, but maybe it was just memory, or maybe he had returned. Location, Earth. 1 month after the beacon event. Earth had changed. No more whispers in the night. No more mirror reflections staring back. No more sleep plague. For the first time in many years, people walked outside without fear. Children laughed. Again, old songs returned to the air. And for the first time in decades, people remembered who they were. In the center of Project Skywall, Ilara Quinn stood under the rising sun. She had seen war. She had seen fear, but this was peace. And it came with a price. Rain Novak, the man who remembered Commander Rain. Novak never returned from the beacon. His body was never found, but across Earth, strange things began to happen. Old photographs reappeared in lost places. Letters from dead soldiers were found, buried under trees. People began to have dreams of a man standing in a lighthouse. He did not speak, he only smiled and held a light. The people called him the Memory Keeper. The enemy gone? Scientists could no longer detect the enemy's signals. No shadow in the stars, no symbols on glass, no strange dreams, but they were not sure if the enemy was destroyed or only sleeping again. Dr. Layla Singh said it best. They were not aliens. They were echoes, and echoes only return when we forget the sound of our own voice. Project Skywall transforms. The giant war center once used to study fear and silence was now turned into something new. Project Dawnlight. Its goal: protect human thought, memory, and identity. Forever. No more dangerous AI. No more forbidden reflections. No more erasing feelings in the name of safety. Instead, Earth would build new defenses inside the mind. Schools taught children how to protect thoughts. Families learned how to stay connected. With memory journals and thought sharing, humans had evolved, not by technology, but by remembering who they were. A hidden message found in the beacon logs one day. While studying the ship logs from USS Tempest, Ilara found a short video message hidden deep in the data. It was Rain's voice. The screen was dark, but the voice was calm. If you're hearing this, then I made it. I gave them my memories. I gave them my pain. And they couldn't hold it. Because pain, when it has meaning, becomes hope. That's what they could never understand. Memorial Day, global event. The United Nations declared a new world holiday, Remembrance Day. Every year, on the same day the beacon was activated, people would gather at lighthouses, on rooftops, in open fields, and they would light a small candle. Then, in complete silence, they would each remember someone they lost, someone they loved, because memory was the weapon, and now, it was also the shield. Strange sightings. The lighthouse. Men across the globe, strange stories began to rise. A man was seen on the coast of Ireland, walking into the fog. In Japan, a boy said a light man helped him out of a dream filled with shadows. In New Zealand, a woman claimed to hear the voice of her dead brother during a thunderstorm. He said, "He remembered me. That's why I'm still here." The stories were always the same. Man, silent, holding a light. He never asked for anything, he just listened. The last enemy transmission, 3 months later. Skywall picked up a weak signal. It was not human. It was not from Earth. It was not a warning. Just a single sentence repeated over and over again. In a deep, broken voice, it said, "We do not understand. We cannot overwrite. You remember pain. You remember love. You remain." After that, silence. Complete silence, forever. Ilara's journey. Ilara Quinn stepped away from her post. She left Skywall, now Dawnlight, and went to a small island off the coast of Alaska. There, she found an old lighthouse. It hadn't worked in years. But she fixed it. She lived there quietly. Every night, she lit the light, not to guide ships, but to remind herself, as long as one light remains, darkness cannot win. One evening, she stood outside, staring at the sky. She whispered, "Thank you, rain." A soft wind passed her shoulder. And for a moment, she felt someone standing beside her. The children of light. In the years that followed, Earth changed. A new generation grew up with stronger minds. They were called the Remembered. They could detect false memories. They could resist manipulation. They could pass memory tests even computers couldn't solve. They wrote stories, painted dreams, sang songs of the stars, and most of all, they remembered the war not with fear, but with strength. A letter from Riaz in a secure station orbiting Saturn. A final message was found. It came from Captain Reyes. His ship was never recovered, but this message was real. Dated 1 hour before the beacon event. In it, Reyes said, "We were wrong to think war is about weapons. The real war was for the soul, for memory, for meaning. You don't need more guns. You need to protect the things that make you human. Love, loss, sacrifice, laughter. They are stronger than any star." Final conflict. Deep in space, even with peace, Earth stayed ready. Deep in space, the Remembered built a station near the location where the enemy once waited. They left no weapons, no bombs. Only a library, a tower filled with memories, written On crystal pages. Stories from every human nation, tribe, village, paintings, songs, names of the dead. Each one, a bullet against the void. At the station entrance, a sign in 200 languages. To those who come in silence, we offer memory, not fear. Back on Earth, the legacy continues. One boy in a village in Africa drew a symbol in the sand, a small light. Next to it, a circle. Inside, 5 black dots. He said, "My grandmother said the dots were bad, but the light made them go away." When asked where he heard that story, he smiled. "From the man in the lighthouse. He visits me in dreams. He tells me stories." "What's his name?" someone asked. The boy smiled brighter. "He doesn't remember, but he remembers me." Closing scene. The light that never fades in space. The beacon still glows, not as a warning, not as a weapon, but as a reminder that even when stars die, even when skies burn, light remains. And as long as one soul remembers, humanity wins.